Pay attention, ladies. There's a voting bill moving through Congress that would affect us in a very specific way, and most people have not been told what that means in reality. So I will. It's called the SAVE Act, and it has already passed the House back in April of 2025. As of today, February 2026, it's sitting in committee in the U.S. Senate and has not been brought to the floor for a vote yet. This is important because this is when public pressure can still change what happens next. Once the bill reaches the Senate floor, the options narrow dramatically. The SAVE Act is usually described as being about election security. That's the language you'll hear. But what it actually does is change how people are required to prove they're eligible to vote. And that change hits women first. Not because we've done anything wrong. It's because our official paperwork doesn't always tell a simple story. For instance, if you've ever gotten married, divorced, kept a married name, remarried, or changed your name for safety or survival, this applies to you. So I want to walk you through a few things clearly. What this bill will do, why women are uniquely affected, and what you should do now while it's still in committee. Under the SAVE Act, people would have to show documentary proof of U.S. citizenship in order to register to vote in federal elections. Sounds simple enough until you think about it. To prove citizenship, we need access to actual documents. A passport, a birth certificate, naturalization papers, not just existing voter records. And that's where the problem starts. A birth certificate never changes, ever. It always reflects the name you were given at birth. But many women vote under a different name, a married name, a name they kept after divorce, a name they've had for decades. So the document that proves you're a citizen and the name under which you're registered often don't match. Right now, that's not a problem. Election officials are allowed to reconcile records. The burden is on the state to verify eligibility. Under this bill, the burden shifts to you. That means you could be required to prove on paper that the person listed on your birth certificate and the person listed on your voter registration are the same person. And that usually means more than one document. Now, for some women, that may be doable. For a lot of women, it's not. Marriage certificates get lost. I have no idea where mine is. Divorce decrees are buried in court systems from 20 or 30 years ago. Certified copies cost money. Requests for that documentation takes time. Offices are understaffed. And election deadlines don't wait for you. This doesn't just affect people registering to vote for the first time. It can come up if you move, something I'm doing fairly soon, if you update your voter registration, if you change party affiliation, if voter rolls are purged and you have to re-register. Normal, ordinary civic participation suddenly becomes a paperwork nightmare. This is why voting rights experts keep saying the same thing about laws like this. They don't stop fraud. They stop people from voting. Specifically, eligible people who don't have the time, money, or clean paper trail the system suddenly demands. Women are overrepresented in that group because name changes are relatively normal. And that's the part that keeps getting glossed over. Women should absolutely prepare now in case this bill becomes law. Know the exact name on your voter registration. Know the name on your ID. If you can get a passport, do it. It's the easiest way to protect yourself if your birth name has changed. But preparation isn't the solution. Stopping a law that treats ordinary women's lives as a problem to be managed is the solution. We got to stop it. So call Congress. Tell them you do not support the SAVE Act. Tell them clearly that proof of citizenship voter registration disproportionately disenfranchises women because legal name changes are normal and lawful. Tell them election security should not depend on whether someone still has paperwork from decades ago. Let people know what is at stake if the SAVE Act 2.0 becomes law. If this moves forward without security, the consequences will show up when women try to register or update their voter information and are told their documents don't match. They'll show up when deadlines pass while paperwork is still being processed. And they'll show up one person at a time with no appeal built into the process. This would take women back over 100 years before the passage of the 19th Amendment. It would disenfranchise millions of women voters. And frankly, that would friggin' suck. Now, messages like this only spread when people actively share, save, comment, or support the work behind them. That's how this information actually reaches the people who need to hear it. So make sure it spreads. I'll put a list of documents you'll need in the comments and lay out the specific steps and options in some slides that will accompany this post. Do not assume this will fix itself without substantial pressure on our elected representatives. It won't. I promise. Do your part, spread the word. And men, do the same for the ladies in your life.